building new products and experiencing them fully. So being a part of a startup is something that resonates with me. I started with mostly hardware, like just mining, trying to understand what it is that blocks are, how are they produced. So like that limitation actually breeds creativity in my eyes. The storage of like permanent assets and then recursive technologies and being able to like bridge physical art with the blockchain to store like Provenance, and the market already exists because it's there. You're just improving it with the technology that's available. The idea was to give people a taste of what Driven is.
All right, we are live and it is time for episode 35 of the Money Shift podcast. And today we have got some exciting news to share. We dropped a little bit of alpha on our live stream with Rachel yesterday. And for those that were paying attention, it wasn't just about the new event and community features that we've introduced, but we have a new member of the DRVN Labo family, and that is Slava. He's been, just killing it as a community member. And we can talk a little bit about how we met and how this came to be. But he's really just been showing up and providing a lot of value, and things just worked out. And now he's officially one of the team. So congrats, Slava, and welcome to your official interview on the Money Shift podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to finally be officially on the team. So looking forward to what else we can do together and continue the growth and the energy that we've been experiencing. So
yeah, there's been a lot of momentum recently. And I think in large part due to the help that you've provided as you've come on and done more with us. So yeah, big props there. And of course, we also have Gary, aka Iron Maiden, hanging out with us today. How you doing today?
Hey, GM, great to be here. Yeah, excited for this episode, and also welcome Slava to the team. It's exciting to have, fresh blood, and also, it just shows, what DRVN Labo is at the moment, right? We're just growing as not only in our community, but also with our team. So, hey, definitely ready to dive into today's episode.
So, as I mentioned, we're going to be learning more about Slava and what his history is in car culture, Web3, his professional experience as well. And then also taking a look at the newest updates to the drvnvhcls.xyz site. So there's a little bit of a distinction there I'll explain here in a little bit. So I guess I'm going to start with the first and most obvious question that I think a lot of people are asking is, are you an anime character?
Yes, definitely. No, it's mostly just internet thing that I do where I interact with usually some kind of moving or anime thing. I feel like it adds to the experience where like we all have our faces, but then we have our PFPs. And if I can bring my PFP to life, then I think it just makes it that much more fun.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I'm so used to seeing you now with the filter on that, like when we're hanging out on base rooms and you don't have the filter on, I like you're naked or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's my internet makeup. Yeah. Exactly. And we also have met in person already. So I'm not an anime character. So yeah, I am a real person. Enjoy car culture and blockchain, probably equally as passionate about both. So this seems like a perfect fit for me.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we pretty early on realized that we're both big F1 fans, and we've had countless conversations about last season and the current season. So maybe we'll get into a little bit of that when we take a look at the newsletter later on. But it's an interesting time in the world of F1.
Yeah, so. Definitely is. Yeah. Not sure how many of our audience members or community members watch F1, but yeah, it's definitely been an interesting time.
Yeah. We've also done some sim racing together. And that's something that I'm hoping now that you're on the team, we can actually make a regular thing where we'll do some sim racing content, maybe invite our community members in to race with us as well. But I think that there's a lot of opportunity to create content around sim racing side of things.
Yeah. And it seems like sim racing has progressed a lot in the past decade even, and a lot more sim racers are now bridging that gap between sim racing and racing. So it seems like those two worlds are also combining, kind of like how we're combining the digital space with the real life space. So it seems like a perfect opportunity to do both. Yeah, looking forward to
yeah, and a big audience there that we could hopefully get in front of and bring into the community. Well, would you mind giving the viewers a little bit of a background on you, maybe personally and professionally, and how what you've done in your life has sort of led you to what we're doing here at the intersection of car culture and blockchain.
It all feels like personal life, to be honest. Like, I don't really feel like I separate professional and personal life. Like, I enjoy building new products and experiencing them fully. So like being a part of a startup is something that resonates with me. So I like bringing things from like 0 to 1. So like from idea to actual product, and then seeing people interact with it, building a community around said product, and the ability to do this in, you know, an international kind of feeling and in a decentralized way on blockchain is what kind of brought me to the technology and to this ecosystem in the first place. I started with mostly hardware, like just mining, trying to understand what it is that blocks are, you know, how are they produced, what is this ecosystem, how do different ecosystems, you know, interoperate, how do they not interoperate, what can you do across these blockchains. And it kind of led me into a path of like storage, and I've just naturally been creative my whole life, so I've enjoyed working with artists, and so it led me into like permanent storage on like Arweave and understanding interoperability, and then further into like ordinals on Bitcoin, because they seem to be the, you know, art pieces that were being actually etched into the Satoshis, as opposed to the artwork living somewhere else. And then you have a token that represents said URL, and then you need to hope that that URL exists. It seems like a stronger infrastructure for like art on chain in the ordinals community. And I enjoyed recursive ordinals and like recursive things that you could do on chain, where like you could upload a whole library and then have a different NFT that pointed recursively at that library to create whole new experiences. So you could upload like JavaScript environments and have whole like audio players and mix notes and have environments. And it reminded me almost of how like gaming was back in the day, when like Atari could only support so much data, because like you're limited by like 4 megabytes, or like I think it's 4 or 5 megabytes right now in a block. So like you can't put more than that in a block. So like that limitation actually breeds creativity in my eyes. So like in my mind, that 4 megabytes, like how creative you can be inside that block, is really that magical like aha moment for recursive ordinals. The storage of like permanent assets and then recursive technologies, and being able to like bridge physical art with the blockchain to store like provenance, I think is what gives me the strength to like look at RWAs, because it seems like the same thing. It's like the physical car, you want provenance on chain. It's a lot easier to actually understand with a vehicle than it is with art, because like with art, you don't always have a title, and provenance is not something that most art collectors think about unless you get to a certain echelon of collector. So like if you're just walking around at a, you know, a fair, or you go to your local gallery, or you're going to support a friend and you buy their art piece, you're not necessarily thinking like, oh, I need, you know, provenance or authenticity that this piece is this piece. But with a vehicle, that is something that everyone wants, right? You want to understand this is the real vehicle, the parts are authentic, they're original, and provenance seems like something that's really important in the automotive world. And it seems like it's something that's a lot more prevalently known as opposed to like the art side. So
yeah, definitely.
That's what really got me excited when I saw your project in Summit when we first met, and I saw your car and I was like, oh, what are you doing with your car here? And you describing the RWA project, and I guess I just saw what it could be right away when we first spoke. Being a part of that journey is definitely something that I was, you know, eager to do. So I grabbed some Buster and, you know, joined the Discord, and here we are today after a bunch of crazy ideas and, you know, hours and hours of conversations. But yeah, looking forward to it. I really enjoy like operations, product management, and product market fit. Really good at, you know, working with what I have to be able to bring more. So I feel like that's where we are now with Driven. Is like we're right at the cusp of like, how do we cross this little barrier to open our doors to more users and not just those that are privy to blockchain, you know, terminology.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, like you said, we're really on the precipice of breaking out into this larger world of automotive enthusiasts. There's so many people that are actively engaged in that culture every single day. And there's a lot of challenges that they face trying to build communities or figure out where to go to connect with people in real life. And so we've talked about it for quite a while about how we can solve those pain points. And in the last few weeks, you stepped up and was, you know, you're like, I've got some time and availability. Let me help you get that piece of the puzzle built out. And in 3 weeks or however long it's been, we've made so much progress and really gotten a lot closer to that end goal of onboarding the automotive enthusiasts and not just staying in the Web3 lane. Right now, that's really important for us to continue to grow and to get through this bear market is by not being strictly tied to the crypto markets, but by breaking out and going after our ultimate target audience of anybody and everybody who loves cars, motorsport, what have you. So yeah, big props to you for really helping us to get over that barrier. That's something that's been on our roadmap for a while, but due to limited manpower and resources, it has had to be kind of backburnered. But now it's the beauty of adding people to a team that are passionate and are gonna, show up and build, because you can get a lot done. So,
and honestly, I think I don't really come from the ethos of like, how do I build for the market, to be honest. Maybe it's because I started from like the mining days, and it wasn't like, how do I build something for the miners? It was more like, how do I mine something, or how do we do this together? And it seemed like that decentralized ethos was more about how do we improve systems that already exist that are centralized with decentralized technology, right? So like every time that the blockchain evolved, there was more processes from the old world that you were able to now transfer into a decentralized environment. And I feel like coming from that ethos, I never really looked at the market to indicate whether you should build with blockchain or not. Like if there's a natural process that you can improve with decentralization, you should. And the market already exists because it's there. You're just improving it with the technology that's available. I equate it almost to like coming into a venue, right? Like if you're an artist and you're coming into a venue, you should be able to bring some fans with you. Like you usually say, this is how many people I can bring for a show, this is how much I'd like to charge for a ticket. It's the same with blockchain or any other kind of ecosystem. Like when you come into the blockchain, you are supposed to bring your own clients and your own customers. Like you're supposed to be building for someone. Just coming into an ecosystem and expecting that ecosystem to support you is, I think, a little naive, to be honest. So like to be successful, you have to build for the public. You have to build for a community, not just the ecosystem, because then you're suffering exactly from what you're saying is the market. Like once the market tanks, your ecosystem is gone and you don't have a product.
Yeah. And that's, I think, one of the unique things about our approach to what we're building is it's not going to be dependent on market cycles. It's more tapping into an industry and a passionate culture that's already there, that's already active every single day, and just giving them new tools, new resources, and new ways to indulge in their passion. So yeah, 100%. I think we're on the right track here. So I know you used to also work for DSO, right? Can you talk a little bit about?
No, I didn't work for DSO. I worked with a bunch of developers in DSO. Like we were all kind of just a ragtag team of developers that were building for the chain. And there were certain like hackathons and certain promises, that happen in early days that aren't fulfilled in the future. And then, developers slowly start to leave the core. And we tried to do our best to sustain kind of like our own decentralized little group of developers. One of them being Kanchi. Kanchi led the efforts with the development and everything else. And honestly, it was then that I realized that we as the users can definitely do more on our own than with any kind of support, give or take from the core. Like it's great as a cherry on top, but we were able to organize, I think it was like 13 or 14 teams, and there was like 22 projects, and they were all awesome. And none of the other hackathons at that time had 22 projects. And we were giving away almost no money. Like I think the prize pool was like 5K, and we did our best to like split it amongst everyone. But it was really the passion of just building together. And it didn't feel like there was anyone dictating on like what you should or shouldn't do and how you should do it. It was more about like the communal effort of like, what can we all do to better this environment for us to then be able to build more on top of this, foundation that we're trying to establish. So being in that group kind of like builder mentality, showed me that we're able to do a lot more with a decentralized kind of like team that's of passionate people versus just people that get money.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the clarification on that. And yeah, I mean, I had followed DSO and was a user for quite some time. So I know that we kind of connected over the fact that we were both somewhat in that ecosystem, although you far more than me. I was working for a competing decentralized social platform at the time. So I was doing it as a form
R&D
of
kind of thing.
R&D, exactly. But I really liked what DSO was doing and was pretty bullish on it for quite some time. And I too noticed that they had a lot of people that just came in and contributed on their own accord, not having to get permission from the core team or, set up deals for, compensation. They were doing it because they wanted to see this vision come to life. And in a lot of ways, that is what I'm hoping to also foster with the Driven Labo and our product driven vehicles. Is it's all open source, so anybody can come in and contribute to our code base. They have to follow certain requirements to make sure that everything is compatible. But ultimately, I'm hoping we'll see a day where people come in and they form their own builder communities because they see an opportunity to develop a new set of features that don't currently exist. And, maybe we can do bounties or set aside some of the treasury funds to reward those that come in and help build it out just simply on their own accord. So that's the approach and that's the plan. So now let's talk a little bit about your passion for cars. How did you get into the automotive world?
I don't know if everyone likes to go fast. I don't know. When I was a kid, I used to think everyone likes to go fast, right? So anything that I did, I wanted to go as fast as possible, whether it was like rollerblading or on a bicycle or even just like running, it needed to be fast. And naturally that leads to like having a motor and then wanting to put a turbo on it. And, and I grew up during the time where like mopeds were first motorized. So like in our neighborhood, it was really popular to have those like motorized kind of like mopeds. It was before it was illegal to drive them on the streets. So like you were still able to like blast it down Queens Boulevard. That's what we were doing with just like a little engine and a turbo. And that was like my first introduction into like, here's a motor and this is how you can get like certain compression out of it, and if you pump more air into it, you can get more power even from the same motor. And it felt a little magical to me, where I was like, ooh, this is a little explosion happening that is controlled by people. And that just led to naturally wanting to have a vehicle that's capable of producing maybe more power than it should, and led into and obviously the movies that we were all exposed to back then, which Buster being part of the narrative here, that was a great part of like why we all, I think, like tuners, and tuner culture was really popular when we were growing up. So I think it all just kind of naturally led into me wanting to be around as many powerful cars as I could, and just the sound of an engine and like the smell of tires like just brings back certain memories and nostalgic moments that I think stay with you. And we as people just like gravitate towards those things. And living in New York City, it's like you don't really have the space to do it, and like unless you're doing it illegally on the streets and you want to get a ticket or you want to get arrested, you have to do it like sim racing, right? Like you're trying to be as safe as possible and you're trying to still push the limits, but without a track around you. The only way to do that is in a digital environment. And I was always into like, first person shooters, and I was doing that for a long time as a high school kid. And I already had the gaming computer and everything else. All I really needed was like the rig. So it was a lot easier for me to just get the rig and jump into that than consider getting a expensive car, right? So that was my introduction into like sim racing and like F1, and then watching Formula One and watching racing.
I was just about to ask, was sim racing your introduction to motorsport? You started doing the gaming first and then started watching professional racing?
Like Need for Speed, because like first you start with the arcade ones because it's all flashy, you can drift and you can hold the handbrake and you don't really spin out like you would in real life. So
you can jump 1,000 feet and crash and keep going.
You can keep hitting the boost and it saves you, and you're unable to drive properly. So it was a lot of fun, and those games definitely contributed to my passion for cars. And I just find the engineering, something mesmerizing and magical, and the engineering is what like makes F1. And the fact that a bunch of the things that we have in our road cars came from F1 made me want to watch it that much more. So it was just a natural evolution of like wanting to push it just 1% higher. And what starts happening is like you think you've learned almost everything, right? Like even in racecraft, like you feel like, oh, I've learned it all. I'm at a plateau, and then you learn something new, and then you realize like, oh no, I'm at the bottom of this new plateau.
Exactly.
And it never stops. So it hasn't stopped yet, and I feel like I'm still discovering new heights, and I'm looking forward to it. It's been an exciting journey.
That's a really good point you make about the plateaus of knowledge, because there's so much to learn in automotive, let's say like the mechanical engineering side, the racecraft side, even sim racing. It's like once you get a taste, and if you're a curious person, that develops into a craving that you just keep needing to know more. If I want to understand, like it's a little bit of an esoteric thing, but a couple of years ago, I was really fascinated with how PCV systems work. And I, for like weeks, was researching positive crankcase ventilation systems. This is so overlooked in engineering, and a lot of, drifters, they just cap that shit off and don't even worry about it. But it's actually really important to be able to manage the flow of air in and out of the crankcase of an engine. So I was like, all right, I'm going to become an expert on PCV systems, because this is something that I don't know about. I know about turbos, I know about fueling systems. And to that point is, once you get bit by that curiosity and that passion, there's a never ending list of things to learn.
And honestly, it's like areas where knowledge gives you an edge. So like you having that little bit of knowledge might give you a 10th that somebody else might not have. And like maybe not a 10th in your case with drifting, maybe it's extra style points or whatever you're able to do. But
you just don't blow up your engine.
Yeah. But I mean, that it's rewarding to see that your journey to seek for this knowledge is actually applicable, and there is a change, right? Like you didn't waste your time by discovering all of this new knowledge, like you're able to apply it. And being able to apply it, I feel like is that like real world part of it. And like that's kind of like how I look at it with this blockchain stuff. It's like, oh, all this digital stuff that we can now apply and like give it real world value is amazing to me.
Yeah, that's exactly how I look at it. Is when I got into Web3 and blockchain, I always looked at it from a perspective of engineering systems. And it's no different than building a motor. What are the components you need? How do you optimize it? That sort of thing. And the cool part is we're pioneers in many respects of this combination of these two worlds. We're engineering these solutions that nobody has ever thought of or ever tested or experimented with before. So now we've opened up a whole new landscape of learning and challenges that'll keep us going for a long time.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be those knowledge plateaus. We've already experienced a couple, which is great. So.
Yep. Thanks for the background on where you came from, and makes a lot of sense for those that are tuning in to understand why you're now officially one of the team.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being here. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah. Gary, you look like you had something to say, maybe a question.
Yeah, actually, first of all, congratulations. That's awesome to have someone, I've known personally for more than a year. And two, it's always great, as Rex pointed out, the more the team grows and bringing the right people, the more at a faster, and as Slava pointed out too, we accelerate a lot of the things that we want to push as much as we can for the automotive world and the automotive culture. We want to make sure that, we're reaching to people who, share the same kind of passion that we do as well here on our end. But yeah, so, pretty interesting story in regards to, how you got involved in regards to the automotive world, Slava. I didn't even know that, mopeds were illegal before. I thought they were, I guess, legal in some way, but kudos to that, I guess. Yeah, and definitely great to have an F1 fan as well. Now we can chit chat a little bit on that side. Yeah, in the meantime, just encourage everyone to, share the live stream. And also we will be dropping some links. Make sure to follow along with us in regards to what we're going to be diving into the newsletter. Also giving an update onto the app. But in the meantime, with that, I'll just give it back to Rex.
All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and take a look at some of these new features that we've been building. Right now, we've got our Web3 focus side, which is more on the RWA platform. And now we're focusing on what we can do to bring in traditional automotive enthusiasts. So that can be found at drvnvhcls.xyz, which is the entry point to all of the Web3 features. Yeah, as we were talking about before, our objective right now is really to break out into the wider automotive world and onboard automotive enthusiasts. And one of the best ways that we've identified to do that is to provide resources and solutions for the things that they're already doing. And we've identified that finding events, finding local car clubs, or if you host or manage car meets, events, even go racing, or you have a car club of your own, there isn't a really easy way to get discovered, to manage the members or the attendees, and to also just see what's going on in your area. So we spent a little bit of time going over this on the live stream with Rachel yesterday. I thought maybe we could double click on it and dive a little deeper on a few key things. Maybe we focus right now on what's currently live, and we'll leave the features that are coming in the near future for a future show. So let's see, where should we begin, Slava? I'll let you direct us around, since you in many ways were responsible for bringing this thing to reality.
Yeah, so the idea was to give people a taste of what Driven is as a community and give them a map for them to be able to discover events around them and show them really the power of community first, because that is what we are. And also, lead into the articles, podcasts, the Web3 side of tokenized ownership through a lens that is able to allow them to kind of like discover it on their own without presenting everything in like one page. So this way you can kind of like read through the banner, see what it is that you are interested in. So if you're just a regular user that wants to find events, you don't have to kind of like go through the scary Web3 part of it, because a lot of them just don't understand what's going on and tend to leave. So this was more focused on people that are already in the car culture community and just need tools to be able to organize themselves better. Currently, we have a live event actually happening. So there are several types of events that you can see on the map already. So there are different icons, and depending on them being a cruise, an event, a car show, a race, which is coming soon as well. Those are the type of events you can have. We'll be adding other types of pins, but I don't want to talk about other features yet. One of the most interesting, I guess, types of events are the cruise feature, where you can literally watch one of our members travel and highlight like a trip that they like. So at the moment, we have Crypto Fam Radio actually traveling from Florida to Las Vegas.
Yeah, let's see where he's at. All right. Yeah. We can actually zoom in and see exactly where he is on his road trip right now. All you got to do is, when you find a what are we calling this one? It's a cruise. If you go to the cruise event page and you click going, you're effectively now following this event, so you can follow along with what's going on. You can also add, I'll mention, stops along the way. So if you're organizing a cruise with a group of friends, everybody can know exactly where the stops are going to be. Right now, I don't think we have that. It's only the person who organized it. You can see them on the map, but it would be cool for us to have it where the cruise feature is anybody who is actually going, you can see where they all are on the map as well.
Yeah. So like we definitely want to move into a follower, quote unquote, system and add more social features, definitely in that way, where you can see people that you follow actively on the map, or anyone else that wants to make their location publicly visible. Some of you might be familiar with like how the Waze app does that now. So like if you have Waze, if you zoom out, you can see other Wazers on the map. This will be similar to how you can see other community members on the map, as opposed to just events or just mechanics or vendors. I think this is a great idea as well, where it's not just the people that you follow, but also the attendees of the event can then see each other. And maybe that can be managed by the event creator, so that they know, is this a private cruise or is this a public cruise that anyone can attend? And can everyone see each other's locations and whatnot.
In that case, maybe there would be two types. There would be a road trip, which would be for an individual, and then there would be a cruise, which would be for a group.
Well, honestly, a road trip sometimes is a family traveling with like 3 or 4 cars that want to keep track of each other and be like, oh, hey guys, we're going to stop at this, 3 or 4 points, exactly how you mentioned. Because, when there's 3 or 4 cars, sometimes you're able to see each other and stay behind each other on the highway. But, congestion happens and sometimes you can lose track of each other. Some families like to have like, walkie-talkies or something to be able to communicate, but giving them, that extra layer of, hey, you can still see each other, you can find your point, you can still communicate in the chat live if you lose each other is
got the chat right here. Yeah, can chat with him and anybody else who's following along the way. And also
pictures,
he's got some pictures, stopped at a Buc-ee's. So this is a really cool feature. I wish that we had this when I moved to Texas. I definitely would have put my road trip and all my stops along the way on there.
And, a little hint of a future feature is like we will be adding tipping. So I will be able to tip Crypto Fam Radio directly on his journey during the time that he's traveling. But at the moment, I'm going to have to manually reward him for his images.
Yeah. But we got all sorts of different events on here. This one I'm actually going to this weekend at COTA, the GT World, Texas. And it's currently open for anybody to contribute pins and events to the map. In order to be able to list an event, you do have to create an account. And that requires also either connecting your wallet or creating a wallet directly through the onboarding flow. So for Web 2 oriented folks, they can do that simply with an email address, and it'll generate a smart wallet for them that's associated with their email. So they don't have to worry about, any browser extension wallets or anything like that. And then once you have your account, you can pin. But we are going to be introducing some premium features down the road. So just so everybody knows, the whole platform isn't going to be 100% free in the near future, but right now we're testing out a lot of these features. So we know that we can provide maximum value out of the gates to justify the premium subscriptions. So it's going to serve people that are either just want to contribute to the calendar of events, and also ways to get rewarded for being a map contributor, as well as people that host their own events. One I'm really looking forward to is car clubs. I think that this is going to be really, really powerful for car clubs to manage their members, monetize their, let's say, generate revenue for the club's operations, maybe manage sponsorships, and basically manage all of their club operations through the platform. I know I said that we weren't going to get too much into the future features, but these are a few things I definitely wanted to call attention to. And then on top of that, we'll have a whole set of features and a specific user type for vendors and businesses who are going to need a lot more features to get in front of the audience that we're building, the community that we're building through the platform.
Yep. We have Buster as Boost as well for users to kind of start to cross the bridge from Web 2 to Web 3, where it's like you get Boost or you get Buster with your subscription that we will be introducing in the future. So Buster holders will be able to use some of the features. So if you're a Web 3 user, you will be able to use your login as well. You won't have to use a separate login. So like if you already have an account and you have a wallet that's associated with Driven app, you can use that across all platforms. You won't have to be limited to one or the other or have to recreate anything.
Yeah, and the approach behind labeling Buster as Boost here is a strategy to really remove more of like the speculative crypto side for Web 2 users that come in and start using the platform, and instead showing it as almost like a point system that they can use as a consumable within the app. So say they want to, like you were saying before, tip an event or tip somebody on a cruise, you want to boost some content so it's more visible, or you want to vote for cars at car shows that may win a digital trophy, let's say, for best in a specific category. We're going to give a very, let's say, simplistic way for people to conduct their first transactions on chain without it really being tied to like the token price or more in-depth things like staking and what have you.
Yeah, so I think those are all the features for the time being. You can create an account, you can generate a wallet with just your email if you don't have one already. You can create events, choose a type of event so that you can filter by them on the map. You can search for events by your zip code.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. Yeah. So let's see if I can remember my zip code. I still haven't committed this to memory. Hold on. It's 78721. Oh, wait. I hit the wrong button.
Yeah, maybe we need to highlight the search button a little bit more. Let me make a note of that.
So there we go. Now it's zoomed into my location in Austin. If I zoom out a little bit, there we go. There's the event at CODA this weekend. And then you can also, if I hit this button, I can reset the map. And now I can search by events. Let's look at car meets or car shows, cruises, and really dial into exactly what you're looking for. What type of experience do you want to have this weekend? You can come here and find it, or you can list it yourself. The other thing I want to show as well is in your profile, now we also have a series of tabs along the top. So not just your profile information, but you have a list of the events that you're attending. You can view them. You can also mark if you're not going, if you have a change of plans. We have an interested tab. So maybe you aren't going to commit to something, but you want to make sure it shows up in your list of events. You can mark interested in an event there. And then this is my listings, is where you can view and edit anything that you pin to the map or add to the list of events. And we also have a calendar function. So you can just see day by day which events fall in which day. So I think really solid start and strong features that I think a lot of people are going to be interested in. We've got a ton more coming right around the corner. So I'm just really proud of the work that this team has done over the last few weeks to get this thing put together. I think this is going to be a really, really powerful tool, not only for us to onboard people, but just for the car culture as a whole to be able to make better connections and support one another with whatever it is they're doing.
Yeah, and it kind of allows for the community to come together a little bit more easier, because like what we've realized is that everything is a little too fragmented and siloed, and allowing it to be on this kind of like decentralized map where, you know, you have Buster you can post, I think is definitely going to be a valuable tool. And we've already seen the interest and excitement. So I'm looking forward to all of our members adding events. So please go up there, add an event, or at least search for some events around you. I'm wondering how many of our members are international. So like if you want to add something internationally, I'd love to see what that would look like on the map. We haven't tried that yet. So for our international members, if you have any local car events or meetups, we'd love to support them as well.
Yeah, I think at that point, once we have pins on the map all around the world, we're going to have to switch to a globe. And then you're just going to like navigate the globe and zoom into the continent that you're on.
You're going to piss off all the flat earthers.
I'm fine with that.
Do you want to create an ad event and just show people how easy it is and what feels kind of required, not required?
Actually, yeah, let me grab a couple of events I've been meaning to add. So let me find this one real quick. So that
and while Rex is doing that, if anyone has any questions or ideas or events, please feel free to drop them in comments.
Yeah. I just dropped the link into the chat, so you guys can go ahead and also start, adding events as Slava pointed out. And we will definitely look forward to what kind of events you guys add onto the one thing we had here was in regards to the booster, the Buster boost. Is that correlated to the Buster points inside or the Discord, Rex?
Yeah, so I mean, Buster is going to be treated the same way, regardless of where you have it. In the Discord currently, when you're accumulating Buster points, those are redeemable for on-chain Buster, which if it's connected to the same wallet that you use for the app, then you can use them within the app. We're still developing what our approach is going to be for offering the rewards in the app. It's probably going to be easiest, to be honest, to do it where people are accumulating Buster points in the app and then they redeem it. Or, we may find there's a simple way to just simply issue issue Buster on demand. So we haven't quite figured that system out yet, but it is coming. So here's an event that I am going to this weekend. It's a Ferrari car show at, what is it called? Mozart's on Lake Austin. So I'm going to get this information and I'm going to start adding it in. So let's add an event. Let's grab the address. Let's see if we can.
I think you could just put in Mozart coffee roasters.
Yeah, let's try that.
Coffee roasters.
There it is. All right. So it is a car show. The name is Cars, Coffee, and Cannoli. All right. So we've got Saturday, April 25th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We really need, I was about to say we need the map pop up. Usually it's in an icon, but hey, here we go. And then start time, what did I say? 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. All right. And I'm just going to copy all of this, put that there. Max attendees, we will leave that blank. Organizer phone, let's see if they've got that on here. Nope, we'll leave that blank. I will copy this as one of our links. Tickets, right there. Awesome. Website, I'll leave the website blank. Actually, you know what? I'll grab the Mozart's. And we can add the rest in later. I guess, let me put a banner image in. I'm gonna save this image here. Save image as, upload banner. There we go. All right, I think it's ready to submit. Perfect. Submit app for approval. So one of the things we're doing right now is we are doing a manual review process. So anytime you submit a pin to the map, our team does check to make sure it's a legitimate event. That way we're not getting a lot of spam on here. Eventually, we're going to really streamline that system so it'll be approved much more quickly. But for now, I'll just show you my admin panel where I can go in and approve improve it. We've got the banner image. We've got the pin on the map right here at Lake Austin. Can open directions. And if you do this from your phone, it'll actually open in either Google Maps or Waze, whichever you use, and you can navigate to it straight there. Yeah, what else is there? I'm definitely going to mark going to that since I am. But yeah, that's how easy it is to add events to the map. Also we didn't show this view here, but we've got the events tab up here, which is simply I'll call it a gallery of events. And you can put in all of your information to narrow down what you're looking for. So right now, default image is just the Driven Vehicles logo. We're going to update this with some other default event images in the future. But yeah, we've got quite a few events in here to start, mostly uploaded by our team. But if you have anything going on in your area, we would love to have you come and help build out the map of events so people can discover what they can do in their area and come support the IRL car culture. Yeah,
and I dropped a link to the site here on the chat. So make sure you guys go ahead, feel free to, check it out, dive into it. And, as one of our community members pointed out, it's very easy and intuitive, right? All you have to do is just drop all the information of the car meetup or the car event in your local area and just, drop it there. And yeah, as Rex pointed out, we will actually look into it and see that it's not spam. But yeah, definitely it's very easy to use. And,
got a message from Jess here that she added her first one today. Thanks, Jess.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate it, Jess. Yes.
Yeah, it's a demolition derby. It sounds really fun, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, we can go take a look at it right here in good old Maine. Yeah, that'll be fun. We're expecting pictures.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll give us some pictures, and hopefully we have a live stream working by then so she can stream it.
Well, hey, there's another future feature that may or may not be done here in the near future. We'll see when it comes out. But yeah, people will be able to live stream the event directly to the event page. So that's going to be fun.
Do you want to highlight anything else? I think that was it.
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered it. We do have links down below the map to the other aspects of our ecosystem. So Driven Culture, we've got link to our podcast and newsletter and articles here. And then also links to the RWA and Web3 side where people will learn about Buster, the Founders Club keys, and the RS1 Ferrari RWA shares, and go to the more Web3 side of the app by hitting Explore Marketplace. That's what we've been working on over the last few weeks. And again, I'm really excited to get this out in the hands of our community and users to start populating the map and getting feedback, most importantly, so we can continue to improve it. So if you are experimenting with putting any events on the map and you come across anything that can be improved, please reach out to us. Best place to get a hold of us is in our Discord server, and we'll be happy to chat with you about how we can apply your ideas and improvements to make this platform even better. So what do you say, guys? You think we hit all the high points on this one?
For now, yeah. I think we can go ahead and dive into the next, the newsletter. But before we do that, shout out to everybody who's here. Thanks if you have any comments or any questions in regards to what we're building here, especially with the site, let us know, as Rex pointed out, either here or the Discord. Discord link is in our bio. Make sure to check out the Driven Labo account and click on the bio. You'll see the Discord link there. So just wanted to drop that.
Yeah, hope to see you guys there. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the newsletter, and then I think we can probably get through this pretty quickly. Since our last podcast, we've had 2 new issues of the Daily Driven newsletter come out. We had issue 117, which is an open edition. So every 4th issue is an open edition, which means that the full text of the newsletter is available for anybody to read. You don't have to be a subscriber, but the hope is you appreciate the content that we're putting together for you on a weekly basis and you subscribe. So that is what we've got for you here in 117. We cover a rare Forester STI, something that we didn't see a lot of in the US. Have some various news across motorsports. We covered, the Endurance Cup season opener at Circuit Paul Ricard. Covered the Formula Drift Long Beach season opener as well. That was just last weekend. I did a little compilation of 3 of the weirdest racing games in 2026. So if you're into not just sim racing, but also kind of like what Slava and I were talking about before, more of the fun arcade style racing games, we got 3 solid ones here for you to check out. There's a recent announcement from Lamborghini and a three-way collaboration between Lamborghini, the Motorverse, and Illuvium, which just launched earlier this week. And a really interesting article about the Gen Z's changing relationship with car culture. So highly recommend you go and give this one a read. Since it is an open edition, you don't need to be a subscriber, but if you do enjoy it, please do subscribe so you get it in your inbox now every Saturday morning. Used to be Fridays, now Saturdays. Go to drvnculture.xyz to subscribe. But we'll also take a look at the latest edition of the Daily Driven newsletter. And in this one, we, of course, announced the launch of the app we just showed, highlighted a thread from our lead developer, Justin, on all of the updates he's made to the main app at drivenvehicles.app. And then also announced our partnership with Hydrex, where Buster holders can now contribute to the liquidity pool and stake to earn rewards on their Buster holdings. Here's the one that I really wanted to talk about. I don't know about you guys, but I love seeing old cars from the 80s and 90s be reborn through resto mods, or just seeing people keep them on the road. Like, I'm not a big pickup truck guy, but when I see like a 1970s Chevy driving down the road and you know that it's been well cared for and the person who owns it loves it, like, that makes me so happy to see. And in this case, one of the most iconic JDM cars of all time, pretty much the car that drifting was invented in, the Toyota A86, otherwise known as either the Treno or the Levin. The same exact car, the Treno had the pop-up headlights, and that's what was the hero car in the anime Initial D. And then there's the Levin, which is the exact same car, but with more of the old school brick headlights. But there's a company called Tom's. They're really well known for their aftermarket wheels, but they're also a notable Toyota, like, modifying, or what do you call it, speed shop. They have started remanufacturing the A86 as a resto mod, basically brand new car, but now with like upgraded technology and like more efficient motor. And if you have the money, you can get basically a brand new Toyota Corolla, because that's what this is, for between $80,000 and $100,000.
Wow. How many do they make a year?
They haven't released the details of how many they can make. Basically, they're special order. So you either bring in a shell and they'll build you one for $83,000. Or if you don't have a shell and you just want to commission them to build you one, it's something like a little over $100,000.
I'd like to know how many of them are out there on the road.
So far, I think there's just the one. I think they've only started demoing this new service that they're providing. And, but yeah, I mean, you take a look at this thing, it is very well done. So they didn't really do a whole lot to the engine other than you got improved coils on the plugs. You've got individual throttle bodies, which is going to make this thing just like have incredible throttle response, and equal length headers. So that alone wakes up this engine to be 195 horsepower, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you realize how light this car is, it's actually quite fast. I used to have a first gen Miata that was turbocharged and was making 235 horsepower, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a lot of horsepower, but that thing was scary fast.
I guess it is like weight into power ratio, you know?
So yeah, there's a really interesting video on the build here, a little mini documentary if you're interested to learn more. But yeah, these are the things that just make me happy to see these old cars that a lot of people just overlooked for so long. You know, it's an old Corolla, but this car in particular has a heritage of, you know, being one of the original tuner cars to come out of Japan, and to see a completely new life for enthusiasts to get effectively a factory new version of it, but vastly improved performance is pretty amazing. And I have a feeling this is a trend that we're going to see a lot more in the future as our generation has, you know, more expendable income, or we're in a position to, let's just say, have our midlife crises, because we're getting to that age. I think in a lot of cases, we're not going to see people going out and buying a McLaren off the lot. What we're going to see is people going to these specialty manufacturers and having their dream car that they used to play for hours on end in Gran Turismo 2 have a Resto mod version of that.
And it seems like Resto mods are an international trend that's happening right now. Like, it's not just in the United States. So I think you're right about that.
Yep. Yeah, we're definitely going to be keeping a close eye on all of the companies that are doing Resto mods of our generation's classic cars and bringing regular stories about that. We provide some market data here I will not bore you with. And of course, the feature car always makes it into the Buster's Base Meditations article, which is more of a lesson in philosophy that I like to write for each issue, that automotive metaphors for things that are on my mind at the time as they relate to philosophy. So yeah, we've got the motorsport news here. Toyota, kind of on the theme of the featured car. One of the things I think is a really fascinating story right now is how deep Toyota is getting into motorsport and high-end performance vehicles. So one of the stories that we've covered on a previous podcast was how Toyota has created a new line of cars called Gazoo Racing, or GR for short, which is not going to be badged Toyota. They're going to be their own line of purely performance-focused sports cars, with the GR GT at the top level, kind of replacing the LFA from back in the, early 2010s, all the way down to the GR Corolla is going to be in that lineup as well. And they've been dominating in motorsports. So they're in the World Endurance Championship, and they've just recently completed their 100th start for WEC. But one of the things I thought was really fascinating, so they've been involved with 100 races with WEC, and of those 100 races, they've gotten 109 podiums.
Wow.
So first I was like, do they have two cars? And sure enough, I'm like, how does that work that they get more podiums than they have starts? But yeah, they have two cars on the team. But that means that they're, getting a podium
50%,
over 50% of the time, which is really impressive.
Yeah, it is. And Gazoo is also in sim racing as well. Like, they run the Supra Gazoo sim racing challenge or whatever as well.
Yeah, and it's in Forza Horizon 6 now. The GR GT is the Halo car of that game.
Okay. Yep.
So can't wait to get my hands on that. In the gaming side, we have Formula E that just released a game within the Formula Legends, or I should say driving modes. For anybody out there who's into racing electric cars, we guess we're not the biggest fans of it. I mean, they are fast, they are cool. And in fact, a good friend of mine is actually working with Formula E right now in London. I was just watching his Instagram stories this morning and extremely envious of what he's doing. I mean, Formula E is cool, but if you're like us, we prefer the internal combustion engines. Either way, I think it will be really fun to go and even look at the racecraft of Formula E from the perspective of sim racing, because in a lot of ways completely different than, let's say, Formula One right now. Used to be with Formula One cars going to 50D electric and ICE power units. And slight tangent, it's not going to be the same way for Miami. There has been some updates, but if you want to learn about those updates, they will be in Saturday's issue. So make sure you subscribe. What I think would be fun in this is that you actually have to relearn how to win a race by managing your battery, by optimizing when and where you get your boosts or your recharges. It's a completely different approach to racecraft. Hey, could be fun. I might give it a try.
And this is in which game you said? Formula
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, hey, maybe we'll have to do a little sim session on that.
Yeah, do a little test.
In the Automotive Web 3, we had a new free NFT drop from the McLaren F1 team. So they've been doing a new collectible for every race this season that is on the Hedera blockchain. And there's window to claim these each week, or each race week rather. But because they had a 1 month break where, obviously F1 didn't want to go do races over in Abu Dhabi, or was it? Instead, they did a special edition of just to highlight the drivers. So whenever there's a new drop of a new McLaren digital collectible, we post about those on our X and within our Discord server, and we try to highlight it here so nobody misses an opportunity to get in with this collection of NFTs.
Right. And they originally had announced only 5, but I guess due to popularity, they extended to the whole season. So that is something that attests to, the A of, collectibles, and B, the popularity of F1, right? Which, as you know, all teams, I think, except for one, pretty much are sponsored, right, by a Web3 either product or,
Web3 brand of some sort.
Brand of some sort, yeah, correct.
McLaren is now sponsored by 2. It's got Hedera and OKX.
Yeah, OKX is like all over F1. They've been in F1 for a very long time.
Oh, yeah. And then the final story in this issue was some really exciting news coming out of Nissan. For those that have been in the automotive space and have been into JDM cars for some time, you'll know that in the 90s, Nissan was the GOAT. It was the ones that were pushing the boundaries more than any other manufacturer. Sure, you had like the Toyota Supra and maybe the Mitsubishi Eclipse or 3000 GT, but in the 90s, no manufacturer produced as many sports cars as Nissan did, and also pushed the boundaries on technology and performance. And since the 2002, they've just completely, how should I say, they've beige, which is unfortunate to see. And they back the Z, which is not a bad car. There's the R35 GT-R, which is definitely a standout and hits way above its class as far as performance and price point. But Nissan has really struggled to get that enthusiast market share. And with their new CEO, he has now stated that his goal is to make cool cars again. Pretty simply stated, but they are officially bringing back the Skyline with a lot of the styling cues of the Skyline that we all know and love. Unfortunately, in the US, it will be the Infiniti Q60, but it does get a 3-liter twin turbocharged V6 and a 6-speed manual transmission, and the all-important circular taillights that make a Skyline. So that is exciting. It's cool. They show here the first generation Skyline with the newest one. And you can even see some of the headlights similar to the very first one. I thought that was a really nice touch that I don't think a lot of people noticed.
No, you're definitely right about that. So it's a beautiful car. I thought it was the 3.7 liter. I didn't realize it was only 3 liter. But you're right. The Q60
it's going to
turbo 3 liter.
Yeah, I think it's going to be based on the same engine that's in the generation of the Z. And then the thing I'm really excited for is they are very seriously, and they've been talking about it for a while, but bringing back the Silvia. This was their mid-range sports car. So this is not the official design. This is an rendering of what it could look like. But the Silvia was always a really popular sports car in their lineup. It will not be electric, no.
Okay, thank that.
Yeah, the CEO is based. He wants everything to be in line with what made them great in the first place. So what we'll likely see is a turbocharged 4-cylinder that's rear-wheel drive and manual option on the new Silvia. So, and for those who know me, that's what I drive. I have the S14, the US spec, was called the 240SX, and I've had a burning passion for the S chassis, as it's called, the Silvia, for decades now. So I've been waiting for this news for a very long time. I'll be considering getting the S16 if and when it comes to market. But real quick, the other news is that they've confirmed that the GT-R is coming back. It will not be electric, but it will be a hybrid using the same motor as in the R35, completely new chassis, plus electric motors to make it even faster. So I can be on board with that.
Yeah, I like that.
You can throw electric motors on an internal combustion engine and give it an extra 200 horsepower. Not going to fault anybody for that.
I was going to mention that when you, spoke about Formula E versus not Formula E, like it seems like now the way of the future is a combination of the two. Like almost new luxury sports cars I see are like a combination of the two, where you have the option
hybrids
to go full combustion, but I've seen even the option of like going full electric. So like you'll be able to go electric from like 0 to 60 to like just shoot off, but then like from 60 to 100, obviously, where the electric motor will top out slowly. You can switch to combustion and keep going, which was amazing. So like that's to be the future is a combination of both.
Yeah, and that's something that Toyota has actually done a really good job with. I'm glad to see where everybody else was saying, oh, we're committing to going full electric by 2030. Toyota's like, I don't know if that's a good idea. And they doubled down on their hybrid technology. And I think that's really going to pay off for them, because the truth is the infrastructure and the market for fully electric cars just isn't there yet. So
it isn't. And honestly, just repair and cost of repair on a fully electric vehicle is just insane at the moment.
Yeah.
So
cost of replacing the battery, cost of getting electricity transferred over distance efficiently is highly prohibitive. It's just, we're not ready.
And honestly, Toyota's been doing the hybrid thing since like the Prius. And like the Prius has been, one of the first hybrid vehicles. So like, why wouldn't they double down? I feel like they have some of the best hybrid technology out there. So they're definitely above the fold. Yeah.
Yep. So hybrid GT-R, totally cool with it. And then the last bit of news that they released, which I didn't include here, is that they're bringing back the Xterra as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the cool part there is they're going to be pricing it under the Ford Bronco and the Toyota 4Runner.
Okay.
But the thing looks sick. In fact, let's just see if we can find a picture of what they're teasing.
And we'll bring it to Phil for like, him to do his thing on it. Phil, we need a lift kit for the Xterra.
Is the Xterra going to be hybrid as well, or is it going to be also?
No, it's going to be V6. So yeah, this is the teaser image that they've shown for it. It looks really muscular from what you can tell, but they haven't really shown a lot. Yeah, just
the headlights with the grill,
and that's it. That's the teaser.
Okay.
Oh, and the logo is ingrained onto the.
It's embossed.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So finally, Nissan is getting their head out of their ass and is going to be making cool cars again. Makes me happy.
Yeah.
I feel like you have a love and hate relationship with them.
I do. This is true. So that is the last edition of the Daily Driven newsletter, number 118. So yeah, if that type of content is interesting to you, then go to drivenculture.xyz, subscribe, share it with your friends, and see you in your inbox every Saturday morning. So I think, let's see, do we have any other questions before we close today's podcast?
Yeah, they wanted to know in regards to, the model of the Nissan you were showcasing before the Xterra.
That was an artist rendering. They have not done even a teaser yet of the new Silvia. So that's what it was, the Nissan Silvia.
Okay.
And for reference real quick. No, I'll bring you the little one. So this is the S14 Silvia. There we go. That is what I drive. That's what's parked in my driveway right now.
I was going to say, you need a little, I forget what they call, but you need that paint where you can actually add a little bit of it, make it look like yours since it's already white.
Yeah, you can definitely make it look like yours.
Yeah, I don't want to open it.
You don't want to, he said have it.
Oh, you don't want to open it. Oh,
yeah, mine's from 97. They stopped producing them in 2002. So it's been a long time since we've had a new Silvia.
Looking forward to it. Do they have a release date in mind yet or no?
Nope. Yeah, that one they're keeping under wraps. Do we have any other questions?
So far, that's pretty much it. So in the meantime, I dropped a link to the actual website where you guys can go ahead and add any of the events that we want to make sure that you guys can go ahead and want to look at, be part of. You guys can go ahead and use that link that I dropped into the chat. I also added the link to the Discord where if you have any questions in regards to what we're doing, in regards to the automotive world, make sure you join us. Join the Discord link. That's where everybody's there. We are there to, answer questions. So in the meantime, I just want to give a shout out to everybody who is here. I want to give a shout out to Jess, Crypto Monville. Shout out to you, Doji, I see Phil as always. Shout out to Phil and other community members here. I don't want to go through all of them. So just because we're short on time. So with that, I just want to give it back to you.
All right, great. Well, yeah, thank you to everybody who's shown up today. Also, thank you to you, Slava, for joining the team. I'm really excited for everything that we're going to build together.
Definitely a pleasure being part of the team. And I'm looking forward to what we can achieve together. Continue doubling down on this energy, just expanding more and more. So looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, we will see you next week for another episode of the Money Shift podcast. Hope you went and subscribed to the Daily Driven newsletter over at drivenculture.xyz so you can get that on Saturday. Until then, we also have the Builder Burnout Space on Friday on X. So we'll see you there. And in the meantime, we'll catch you either in the Discord server or in Slava's base rooms. All right. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers, everybody.
You guys.